I saw that this morning, and I thought, no, too funny. Wow. Believe me, if you ever went to a meeting with any of the victims of domestic violence and victims of courts, because we're all one and the same, basically, you'd think, my God, these ladies have like a really, really, really morbid sense of humor. But I can assure you, when you get into this, you either have to start making light of it, or you really, it's too depressing. But the whole, meditation there with Biden at the end, I mean, that is so coming from the feminists, it's not even funny. One of the things that set Adrian Zappa off and was going to get rid of me was her jealousy, because I did the presentation, Violence Against Women is Human Rights Violations. I was invited to the Battered Mothers Custody Conference 2015. They did an international one, and I gave a speech there, and I was preparing it, and Adrian was so jealous that here, this person that she was, this stupid idiot trophy wife, who can't, became brain dead by being a homemaker for 20 years, and, is not qualified to do anything except sit there. Here I was invited to give this speech and presentation on what the UN and UN Women and Women Business and Law over at the World Bank, oh boy, those two departments, all of those people are taking you down. They're asleep at the wheel. And actually, they're all alpha dominance feminists, and they just, everybody in these organizations and the whole development community has jumped on board. Alpha dominance feminism, alpha dominance for minorities. Everybody's vying for their piece of the pie and for power and to become the new dominators. That's why Dr. Kim left the World Bank with his hands up in the arms and saying, I can't do anything with you people. And Christine Lagarde is too much in bed with the whole thing. I've seen that. At first I thought Christine Lagarde. I even thought Michelle Bachelet when I heard the words. When I started my research, I was like, yes, this is exactly, where this is right on target, a lot of this rhetoric. But see, subversively, the feminists are working within, and the different minority factions are working, to incite violence and friction, and that's what all of the bullying and the intimidation is about. Just like they do it going on in communities all over the United States and all over the world. But see, you saw when Kamala Harris. Now, the thing is, you ask any victim of court abuse, and they will tell you, oh God, the women judges are the worst human rights violators, and just, no respect of the law. Then her being an African American women judge, oh, that ups the ante. And then her perfect, score, what do you call it, prosecution, her rate of prosecution, like off the charts. Well, she's part of the new Jim Crow. She's part of it. So when we get into the investigations, she's coming down, and Joe Biden, Carrie Bettinger Lopez, who took the first jurisprudence of violence against women as human rights violations to the courts, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, in 2011, became advisor to the White House under Joe Biden on violence against women. Now, she's just as guilty as all of the other NGO and experts and PhDs and everything, Women's Linked Worldwide. Those ladies are all going down. they should be taking my case and challenging the second jurisprudence in CEDAW. But no, they're too busy playing the game. And just like Carrie Bettinger Lopez, the defense of the American government in that case, it was Gonzalez-Linehan versus USA, was that the American government, federal government, did not have control over its courts at the state level. Now, when I heard that defense, right away, I said, well, ladies, this is an admission of the American government that they don't have control, therefore jurisdiction over the courts at the state level. Well, then that nullifies their raison d'etre under the U.S. Constitution. So we got to challenge them on that. Well, you don't assure protection of the women and children in this country, and you say that you don't have jurisdiction, you don't have control over your courts at the state level, well, then you have no reason to exist. No legitimacy whatsoever. I mean, that's where one of the places where I can challenge everybody right now. But of course, I can't do this all on my own. And since everybody wants to shut me up, this is political persecution. Because all of this bullying from all of my landlords, I mean, my God, I'm working on my 9th case with this idiot, and he's a retired court-appointed lawyer. Already got a case against him for sexual harassment, for extortion. So we'll see all of the stuff that he was involved in when he was in the courts. This is just one huge, big protection racket. I mean, this is Mario Puzo. That was one of his points with The Godfather in the book. That's how they kind of justified their mafia, the Sicilian mafia in the United States, and they're right. They're justified. If you can't assure the protection of everyone, regardless of race, nationality, creed, gender, age, and through a court system that is above reproach, and lawmakers have a brain and have some people around them with the brain. Because some of these people, Buttigieg, I don't think he was really old enough and quite ready for president material, but I think, in the future, he's a very smart guy. I think he has some stuff to learn, and I think he needs more information. That's, we got propaganda machines in our news. That's all they are. We got lawsuits up the wazoozy for any lawyer that'll take this on against the press to break up those propaganda machines. This has got to be a across the board. Bloomberg says you can only attack one problem at a time. If you do, it's like a general trying, we'll just, go after these guys here. Well, wait a second. You go after one, all the other flanks you left open, and they'll come and attack you from there. I mean, this is 101. I didn't go to any military academy, but even I know that. God. There need to grow a pair. It's not just the men. I agree with Lee Iacocca. Where are all the leaders? Where are all the leaders gone? The men and the women need to grow a pair. So, okay, so that was that blog. I'll do another, get the other blogs posted up, because this was a series. I had the, so that was the right of passage and right to protest. That covers the issues there. But then lessons learned in our nation's capital, that covers the lack of the necessity for good governance and having an administrative staff that is not only, that only has a brain, but also some integrity and morality, along with everybody else in the department. I mean, this goes up and down and up and down. Why am I the only one who has gone out there, filed a complaint with the IMF HR, filed a complaint with the staff association, trying to mobilize to get lawyers together and start challenging this house of cards that you all want to maintain? I mean, all of your report talk about a mission of action and the mission of action, integrity, transparency, integrity, diligence, transparency, and accountability. But none of you are doing it. I mean, part of being a ruling elite, part of being, and definitely leadership is about setting an example. See the examples that we have out there? Donald Trump, Biden, Kamala Harris, Kim Kardashian. She's just, the follow-up of Cornelia Guest, Paris Hilton, Ivanka Trump. I mean, my Lord. I'm sure when all of the investigations start, and I know there's going to be a lot of pushback to protect, the Trump family, because there's a lot of people implicated. So, of course, they're going to want to protect, not go to jail themselves. So that is going to see how the violence, I mean, if people don't wake up pretty soon, this will end up in another civil war in the United States. I don't want to say, that would never happen. I am so sick and tired of everybody in this town being so out to lunch, so lobotomized as to the realities of the world. I mean, this is no different than, Paris and Versailles. Have any of you all ever gone out to Middleburg? You should have a little field trip out there. Because I knew Middleburg in the 70s when I was at Foxcroft, and, the early 80s. And, it was still quaint but, also if you'll go out there and you'll see the Kennedys were out there. I mean, it's always been, money and that and Pebble Beach over in California is where the horsey and a lot of money people really are concentrated. I mean, you got Wellington, but the old guard is really Middleburg and Pebble Beach. Everybody always laughs at me because I say, oh yeah, I played golf one time at Pebble Beach. The first time I played, they're like, wow. And yeah, the golf teacher actually said, oh God, little girl, you have a lot of talent. My mom, who was always trying to, stab me in the back and try and destroy anything that I wanted to do, just said, oh, that's because he just wanted to sell some golf classes. Even then I was like, we don't live here. So, and no, I mean, I've played a few times in Bogota. I had to play with my husband's boss's wife. See, we do have to do things, I mean, she was nice, but I never would have gone to play golf, ever, if it hadn't been that. And everybody was like, my God, you never played? I mean, the putting I'm really bad at, but if I get my swing right, knock that thing out. I still gotta work on my directions, but when I get old and can't ride or can't do aerobics or anything like that, I'll go golf. So anyway, this country is no different. Go out to Middleburg now. Oh my God. And Sheila Johnson, who's married to Judge Newman over at Arlington Court, he's up a creek without a paddle, or that man is going to probably spend the rest of his life in jail, along with Judge Wiggins, middle state, another black woman judge. Oh Lord, how she's trafficking children. So, you know, well, everybody in Washington really should take a look around of what's going on in this city, because it is not, I mean, Obama, every time he came out in this great democracy of ours and and all of his propaganda, quite frankly, I wanted to vomit every time I came across that. I just came across, what's his name? Thomas Sowell, the black myths of economics inequality. I've got still so many books I've got to read, but he's on the list of stuff that I'm going to buy. But I was listening to his see, somebody out there actually listens to all of your speeches and reads all of your books and is putting it all together. This is what you guys should be doing over at the IMF, World Bank, and UN. Everything that I've been doing for the past 15 years, with no money, everybody trying to destroy me and the labor forces as well as the housing, you know, barely keeping a roof over my head. This guy promises he'll have me end up in a tent, living on the street. I mean, you know, if that's God's will, that's God's will. But I won't give up my principles, and I won't just give up and go away, is, you know, which is your tactic of ignore her until she goes away. I mean, Kate Phillips even told me about that, you know, strategy of all of you people. And, you know, I saw it all the time in there. And I've been dealing with it up on Capitol Hill, the White House, the State Department. I mean, everywhere, everybody's playing that game. But it's going to come bite you in the ass, because it's getting you all involved in RICO. So, you know, as I say again, that's per infraction, that's 20-year prison, $25,000 fine, and seizure of all of your assets. And for a lot of you, I don't know what this is going to do with the status of your children in terms of you know, citizens' rights. Because one, Foxcroft, her name is Dee Dee Matz, her husband's an Olympic rider. Dee Dee Alexander was her maiden name. She's with the King Ranch in Texas. She was asking me, she said, well, how long, you know, have your kids ever lived in the United States? And I was like, well, no. So what, they don't get the protection from their government? They are American citizens. They have American passport. Their mother is American. So they don't deserve the protection of their government. Well, then that would kind of include their French nationality and the French government as well. And, well, they were living in Spain. They have Spanish nationalities. So what, only the Spanish government? But see, they didn't live all their life there either. So my nephew is kind of in that situation as well. He was born in Haiti, grew up in Colombia, has lived sometime in the United States, sometimes in Holland. Does that make him a stateless, rightsless person? Totally. You know, those are the ideologies that are being pushed by the American ruling elite. Well, that's the consequences for the citizens. Now, you know, put that into a global context with, you know, of all of you international development, all of you know, NGOs, all of you foreigners in Washington are expelled and have to go back to your country of origin. What are your children's status? Because they've lived in the United States, but with everything since their parents came here under false pretexts, they really would not get their American nationality rights, their rights as American citizens, yet they hadn't lived in their country of their parents' origin. Once again, they become stateless, rightsless people. The case of Mark Lewis and his ex-wife, that highlights another, issue of what's going to happen to his children, because his wife seems to be from Turkey, or the family is. So if his wife was born in this country, technically she would have American citizenship, but this gets into treason, and so, which is, people who were even born here are found guilty of treason, they could lose their citizenship, potentially. I don't know, with all of the extremism that you all want to promote and become complicit to, that raises what's going to happen to, first generation, they're doing anything to subvert the U.S. Constitution or Bill of Rights. That's, I think, kind of straightforward. Second generation, it becomes more complicated, and I mean, you guys are opening a whole bag of worms with all of your games here. I mean, you are creating so many different, with your ideologies, and you're pushing, and they're subversive. This is not anything that anybody's putting in presentations or anything. It's a lot of it. Oh my God, I saw the Comey tapes or whatever. It was a movie on Netflix or Amazon or whatever. And Comey's wife was pressuring Comey to not announce the relaunching of the Clinton tapes because it would hurt Hillary Clinton's chances. And I mean, Comey did a good call there. He did a good call. Because at least the information that I got from the movie, there was new information. It warranted a reopening of the case, and he should not be guided whatsoever about what's going on in the elections or anything like that. That's political influence from his wife. And I put it on a movie. See, the women in this town, I mean, Ann Pincus, Walter Pincus's wife, is another one. I did, in the 2016 spring meetings, I did Buying the Wars. I covered Buying the Wars by Bill Moyer. Walter Pincus was there. Dan Rather was there. I forget all of the people, all of these big wigs. And they're going like, well, how could we have been duped into going in, the Iraq wars? And even I had read in 2007 a book about, the UN and their complicity of saying, yeah, this stuff is here, and it wasn't. So they were, they're in bed. That's another place where you see they were in bed. You all are in bed. But the thing is, well, you guys wouldn't have been duped if you weren't married to a bunch of bimbo bozos like Ann Pincus, Comey's wife, Juan Williams. I mean, the last letter I took up, because I've set up, I'm setting everybody up in this town. Everybody wants to play hardball and Machiavellian games with me. Okay, well, let's play. So Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein, Caitlin Collins, Mark Leibovich, and Juan Williams. That's all the time I really had to do. I had more time, every single frickin' journalist would be getting a letter from me. Here it is, now expose it. They're sitting on it. Caitlin Collins says that she's sick and tired of all of her bosses think that they think that she wants to sleep with them, and she's tired of that. I'm like, well, do something about it. No. She's too busy schmoozing and cruising over at the White House, questioning the president, making herself a star in this whole thing. Whatever. So, okay. I'll get to the next one, but that wraps up that one. But see, the women do have a role, and they're the deep state. They're the invisible hand. They're the subversive forces that are at work, that you men can't figure out what's going on. What? Meanwhile, your wives, your mistresses, your secretaries, and all of your other stupid idiots you got working for you are running around creating chaos. You're too far up in your ivory tower trying to stroke, have everybody stroke your ego to even care. But see, it'll end up the same as it always has. Bloodshed, bloodshed, bloodshed. And a day of reckoning, and more trials, and everybody gets thrown on the heap. I mean, if people would step up to the plate and try to save the sinking ship, they might save their own asses. Sure, their friends are going to go down. Well, their family members, my family, unlike you guys. My sister, she's been living in Colombia for 30 years. Nationalism keeps on rising. She gets expelled. My brother, he urban luxury high-rise in Chicago, works for an insurance company. When all the House of Cards come falling down, it's the Depression, and he's in a soup line. My sister, expelled to Colombia, come back here, try and find a job. I mean, this is another thing that's pissing me off, is I've been used as the scapegoat of the parasite on society, the social climbing, backstabbing trophy wife who just wants to hang out at country clubs and, schmooze and cruise and cash in, when that's not the case at all and never has been. Even when I was a trophy wife, or a debutante, or any of that stuff. See, I know how to play the game, but as I said to my older sister, I said, I don't lose myself in it. Which is what creates all of your all of these illnesses, the cancer, all of these stress-related illnesses. Part of it is the chaos around you, and the other is that you can only fool yourself for so long. This is why so many of you need to go to psychiatrists all the time, and therapists, and meditation, and zone yourselves out and lobotomize yourselves. I mean, God, the Battered Mothers Custody Conference in 2016, when they played those meditation, I was calling in to listen to, because I've told them time and time again, I'm the only one who filmed the damn stuff and put it up on the internet. I said, film all of this, get it up on the internet so that we can, send it to people. This is not just for the people who don't have money, all of these victims. They're homeless, they come on their cars, wherever, however they go. Oh, we got the money to come here. I'm like, well, what? To come here to sit to somebody give a speech? I came here to try and build some coalitions when I went in 2015. But no, it was the same every place. The same with you guys. Another speech, another speech. Oh, okay. Well, have a nice day, and, I guess we'll see, at the end of the line, believe me, when the whole COVID thing is done with and we're looking at millions and millions dead, the people are going to rise up and want some accountability. If everybody wants to sit on it until then, well, you're just all going to go down. So enjoy your little vacations while it lasts. Bye-bye. That gets it about incorporated into my global expats, which I'm still trying to get the funding for, because the corporate venturists, I've examined that all the way from Silicon Valley across the United States, throughout Spain and throughout France. And unless you're one of the big boys in the crowd, then they'll throw you 100 million. Please.
Otherwise,
if you don't, you can produce the best business plan they've ever seen. You can do all sorts of stuff, and they won't give you a penny. They won't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
So it's really for it's the whole financial and banking structure. It's all just a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. And trying to we do have, though, venture capital in Austin is pretty good, but it's a whole lot though into high tech things. So
yes,
that's very hot in Austin. And then the other thing I want to mention to Austin, one of my best friends sells real estate, and she's a workaholic. But recently, about 6 weeks ago, she started telling me she's getting a huge onslaught of people who are leaving New York City and moving to Austin. We're just a whole lot. And
because of the violence, yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, people who are leaving these places, I'm going to stay in ground zero in Washington and when the violence comes, well, then that's why I'll be hitting the streets and going, okay, you guys, yeah, I know, you're right. But please, I got all of the evidence you need. We'll take them to court. We'll do this in a non-violent way. Because if you murder and rape and pillage all of these homes and all of these people, you become just as bad as them.
That's right. And maybe our crime rate may rise terribly. I mean, that part, the unknown, in 2 months, we may just see this great uptick in crime. But, for now, it's fine. The other thing that brought them is school starts tomorrow. That's the first day of school. So many of them are coming with families, and they want to be here and set so that their children can start school.
So one of my best friends in Chicago just got sick and tired with Chicago's raising taxes, the violence here and whatnot, and so he up and left and moved to Jacksonville, Florida, of all places. I'm not sure how he picked that place. Totally different. His wife is from Detroit, and he's from Memphis. So. And their kids are, a freshman and a senior, but they said, sure, we'll move. And so they moved. So, you may see some people getting fed up with the crime in Chicago and heading down there. I know after Katrina, Houston's crime skyrocketed quite a bit. This is a different.
Winston, how many years have you lived in Chicago now?
26 years.
And you're going to stay, you're rooted.
I
see if because basically what I'm calling for is a Nuremberg trials too. I mean, I've got, lawsuits up and down, from the bottom of the State Department, the Consular Division, all the way up to Secretary of State. Let's see, Kerry got one, Tillerson got one, Pompeo hasn't gotten one, but he's going to be easy breezy to get rid of. Then the White House, and this is Obama administration, so Biden's up a creek without a paddle because Carrie Bettinger Lopez, his advisor of violence against women as human rights violation, she's going to the international courts for covering everything up. So, I mean, Biden, come out.
Crazy stuff. Yeah.
That she's coming down. I mean, I got all the goods on
I want to see the pictures. Hold on. Wait just a second. Let me see these.
I mean, it's just, it's so ridiculous. I mean, I'm sitting on a $10 billion lawsuit, and I can't find any lawyers with any brains or brawn. I mean, one lawyer looked at me, because I worked at the IMF for 7 years. I mean, see, one of the problems that's going on with the racial tension is, and everybody's talking about the discrimination against blacks and browns, but nobody talks about the discrimination against the whites. I'm like, excuse me, you people. The lawsuit that I have, it's called the Institute for Capacity Development. I worked there for 4 years, but for bullying, for age discrimination, race discrimination, and hate crimes. I mean, two of the landlords that I'm going to be, one's going to get deported because she's from Ghana. The other, she's an African American who was working at GW. She's going to jail with her lawyer and the judge. What they did was totally illegal, but since they were all black and I was white, I mean, it's the same thing that happened to me in Spain. I was the American, he's the Spaniard. I mean, I'm like, you guys, this comes under discrimination. Just because I mean, there was even this Phyllis Chesler. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Lucy. She's a feminist, big wig. She's got 18 books and counting. She even came to my speech, but anyway, in 2015. But she was raped when she was at the UN by her boss, and everybody convinced her that she shouldn't, go after him because it would be discrimination because he was black and she was white.
Yeah.
And I said, you bought that? Oh no, I'm not buying that.
I'm going to have to go in a few minutes because I have a team meeting, basically a work meeting. But I just wanted to catch up just really quickly. I haven't seen Duran in like 100,000 years, and so maybe not that long. But,
in my life, everybody's been in lockdown. I've been in lockdown for the past 12 years since I've come back to Washington.
Oh,
so my thing is, I mean, basically what so that's what my life is: litigation and trying to get some good governance and run all of the bums out of town. I love Lee Iacocca. He says, throw them out of town, get the bum, throw the bums out. I'm like, oh, I got all the names. Believe me, after 12 years, I just keep on racking up names everywhere. As I said, State Department, White House, Congress, IMF, World Bank. They've got a women business and law department. Everybody there is looking at RICO charges. UN Women, same thing. It's Article 6 and 7.
you always should have gone to law school, Quimby. It's a shame you never went to law school.
Lucy, everybody, all of the activists, and this is what I get tired of them. They're like, oh, you should go to law school. I said, yeah, I would win everything. I said, I'm a barrister. I'm not a lawyer. That's why the whole barrister system and the argumentation was invented. There's a whole, knowing all of the procedural things is one thing.
We're going to go to Kendra. It's Kendra's 1 minute.
So
Okay.
wait a second. So wait a second. 7. Okay, Rome Statutes.
To 1 minute.
Crime against humanity and genocide. Right now with the COVID, they're up in the ante to genocide.
Okay, that's crazy.
So that's what I.
1 minute, Quimby.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay,
All right.
Kendra,
You
you're on.
The beauty of